Hey everyone, welcome back to Aegis Moto Adventures. Hey, today we're going to ride from Labrador City to Baie-Comeau. It's going to be a long day. It's almost 600 kilometers and 150 of that's going to be on gravel. So we got our work cut out for us, but I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful ride. So join us as we hit the road here. As we take off this morning, the rain is already falling. The forecast is for off and on rain all day, and that's just what we got. The upside to all the rain is that the damp conditions are helping with the forest fires. The road is now open and the fire mop-up is just about complete. It is just a short ride to the Quebec border. We will soon be encountering the first gravel roads. Right off the bat, the scenery reminds me of why I wanted to ride the Trans-Labrador Quebec Highway. It doesn't disappoint. At Mount Wright, we take off on the first stretch of gravel. For the next 70 kilometers, we will do battle with the mud and loose gravel. I don't know which is worse, the mud or the dust. If it were dry out, the dust would have been awful. I guess we'll live with the slip and slide. An interesting note, Mount Wright has Canada's largest iron ore open pit. The company does have guided tours throughout the summer months, but reservations are required. If you have the time, this may be a very unique stop. Under perfect conditions, this 586-kilometer trip takes about 8.5 hours of ride time. However, I would plan for more like 10 hours. Because of the mining operation, this section between Baie-Comeau and Labrador City sees a much higher rate of truck traffic. Everyone warned us about the speed of these trucks. This means use a heightened sense of caution and stay out of their way. You may have noticed that we cross over railroad tracks that somewhat parallel the highway. I'm sure most of these trains are used to support the mines, but there is a passenger train that runs between September Isles and Labrador West, which is basically Labrador City and Wabush. The passenger train runs twice a week and can accommodate vehicles if you want to bypass the gravel roads. Passing a grader means the kiss of death. All of us battled loose gravel in this area. Use extreme caution if the packed gravel has been piled up by a grader. Along the way, we did see emergency call boxes, but they were sporadically placed. Keep in mind, if you have an emergency, help could be hours away. Ride accordingly. After getting away from the mine areas, the gravel road did improve some and appeared to have better maintenance. As I ride these gravel portions, it's not hard to imagine a time when the entire highway was gravel. The Trans-Labrador Highway was completely paved as of July 2022. There is little doubt in my mind that the entire route will be paved in the next few years. If you want a taste of the wilderness by gravel, plan your trip now. Occasionally, there are pull-offs for parking. They are not always well marked, but they do make for a safe area to take a break. We have made it through the first 70 kilometers of gravel. The highway is paved from here through to Relais Gabriel. We make our first pit stop at Rivière Pepler, a very scenic place to answer the call of nature. Here we pass by a maintenance crew which appears to be fixing the road, but the asphalt seems to be brand new pavement. Check out these attacking black flies. You can actually see them in the camera here. We kept our gear on the whole time unless we just absolutely had to take it off. They're evil little buggers, so bring your mosquito spray and black fly nets in case you need it. As we approach Relais Gabriel, there's mountains in the background, and we'll be heading up into those mountains shortly. As we got to this spot here where there was a divided highway, I was a little perplexed. There's nothing here, so I have no idea why that section was divided. It wasn't uncommon for us in this stretch to run into these bypasses where they were doing bridge work or culvert work. They were actually pretty well maintained, and you shouldn't have any problems getting through these areas. Wow, this river was just beautiful. And with the mountains in the backdrop, this was one of my favorite sections. We are basically heading west here, but we'll turn south as we head up into the mountains toward Relais Gabriel. We used one of those pull-outs to take a break. We needed just a little time off the bikes here to stretch our legs and just relax just a little bit before we head back out on the highway. I don't know if I goinked up the camera when we were at Relais Gabriel, but I'm pretty sure I changed the SD card and the battery there. So I didn't get any footage of the actual fuel stop there. But as memory serves me correctly, Gord said this was the only place to get gasoline between Labrador City and Baie-Comeau. They do have a restaurant there, but it wasn't operating while we were there. But you can get snacks and drinks, and most importantly, fuel. Just south of Relais Gabriel, you're back on the gravel, and this section is 100 kilometers long. It's a long stretch, but it's also a lot of fun. Once again, we run through sections where a grader has been to smooth out the gravel, but this makes it extremely difficult riding on a motorcycle because it creates a lot of loose material that you have to navigate through. It also appears in this area that the road has been widened some and that they're preparing for pavement in this section. That wouldn't surprise me at all if this section is the next section to get paved. The pavement starts again at Manic-Cinq. Manic-Cinq, now named the Daniel Johnson Dam, is a buttress and arch hydroelectric dam and is located on the Manic-Cinq River. At 214 meters tall and 1,314 meters wide, this makes this dam the largest of its type in the world. Construction of the dam started in 1959 and was completed in 1970. Without question, this is an engineering marvel and well worth it if you want to stop here and take some pictures and enjoy the backdrop. It is absolutely amazing at how massive this is. You almost have to see it to believe it. The dam created the Manic-Cinq Reservoir. As seen from above, the reservoir is nearly a perfect circle with an island in the middle. The reservoir is 1,942 square kilometers, and at its center is Mount Babel. This island hosts the Louis Babel Ecological Reserve. Check out a satellite view of this area. It's absolutely astonishing. Needless to say, because of the hydroelectric dam, power lines run all the way down to Baie-Comeau. The low-hanging clouds here kind of obscure the mountains, but I'm here to tell you it's beautiful. As we get closer and closer to Baie-Comeau, I am so glad we took this trip. It's been a lot of fun, and boy, what a chance to see some wilderness in a relatively easy way on mostly paved roads. You should definitely take this trip if you get a chance. There are so many lakes and streams and ponds along the highway here. I would like to bring you their names and let you know exactly where we were at, but there's just so many of them. And without some kind of signs along the highway to indicate what they are, it's really hard for me to tell on a map exactly where we were at. So I apologize for that, but boy, it's hard to argue with the scenery. This is Hydro Quebec Post Macoa. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, but I gave it a try. We finally entered the area where the highway had been closed due to a forest fire. There was heavy burn on either side of the road here as we rode through here, and there were still some fire crews in the area. Obviously, this rain has pretty much put an end to the fire, allowing them to open the road again, but boy, there was a big burn area. The rain came back and started coming down pretty hard and made our last few kilometers to Baie-Comeau a really soggy one. But we were almost there, so we could see the light at the end of the tunnel. We had to make an emergency stop for Karsten so that he could make room for some beer pop later on. Unlike the Cabot Trail, which I think it's better to take it counterclockwise, I don't think there's really any advantage in which direction you go here on the Trans-Labrador Quebec Highway. Starting out at Baie-Comeau and heading east would be just dandy, and coming back west from Newfoundland works as well. It's beautiful no matter which way you go. Here we ride by Manic-Cinq, another hydroelectric dam. Not quite as impressive as Manic-Cinq, but impressive all the same. It's pretty neat area here. As you get closer to Baie-Comeau, the highway turns into this kind of super highway here. There was quite a bit of construction where it appeared they were widening the road and making it more accessible. But nonetheless, we're at the tail end here as we close in the last few kilometers to Baie-Comeau. Gord and I had hyped up our pizza restaurant that we like there in Baie-Comeau, so that's where we went for dinner and some beer pops. It was a nice end to our travels across the highway. Here's Gord.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the completion of day 23 of the journey. As it turns out, the journey home now, as we make the turn to head back towards where we started from. If you recall from yesterday, we arrived in Labrador City. This is a fairly small-scale depiction of both the province of Quebec that you can see here and Labrador. You can see a small piece of Newfoundland off the side here, just to situate you. We started off with a sort of a gray overcast day, and in spite of the short, uninteresting line on the map, this was almost 600 kilometers, almost pretty much 350 odd miles of road, and of that, almost a third of it was gravel and dirt, and it was mixed with the rain. Was a bit of an exercise in motorcycle handling. So as we look back on the day right now, it was pretty tiring, but nevertheless the terrain was fantastic from the middle half down. We got into some serious what's known as Canadian Shield geography, typified by large rocky mountains. Not Rockies as you would understand them on the west coast of the North American continent, but rock-filled mountains is the way I would describe them, covered with green trees. We also went through a couple of areas where there were some significant engineering achievements in the form of hydroelectric dams. Absolutely spellbinding to look at in real terms. Manic-5 and Manic-2, I believe, were the two reservoirs that we saw. Just fantastic things to look at. Also, the weather not so good for us. Pretty much rain most of the day. We had a few breaks in that, but it lent itself to a fairly tiring run into Baie-Comeau, which was our final destination this evening. So, with that in mind, we're going to go back and have a rest, and then we're going to carry on tomorrow and stop at a midpoint before we reach our final destination for this particular trip. That destination will be Trois-Rivières, which is just a little bit southwest of Quebec City. So, hope to see you soon. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks.
Well, that's all for today. I sure hoped you liked the video. It was a lot of fun to ride it, but it was a long, wet day. So we'll see you tomorrow in the next episode.